Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Week 17 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 marches on. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. This football season is a living nightmare, and it can't end soon enough. Cheers. I'm having my little Christmas cocktail that I made. Vodka, peppermint schnapps, white chocolate liqueur, red sugar rim. It's the only bright side of my day, of my Sundays, is that after getting just pummeled with my NFL bets, I can try to relax my nerves with a little Christmas cocktail. I've become a Christmas cocktail guy this season. What else am I going to, become? I need something to keep my mind off the NFL. Listen, I've been complaining about how bad the season has been for a number of weeks now. I think it was profitable halfway through. It's been a nightmare second half of the season. I'm not going to just spend this intro just complaining. You've heard me complain enough. I will do a full debrief of the season at the end of the road to 272 before the playoffs start. I have learned some things for sure, and you know what they say, you either win or you learn, and I absolutely learned a lot this NFL season. Some things I got to change moving forward. Some things that I still think I did well. Like, for example, this past week, I bet almost all of my bets were at a good number based on closing line, and I still went 6-9-1 for minus, where we got here, minus 3.62 units. But listen, this is the Christmas episode. This is the holiday episode. And yes, with, I guess it now actually officially being Christmas Eve, the clock just turned over past midnight. I'm still recording an episode, baby. It's a little Christmas episode. We got to have a little cheer. You don't want to hear me complain before the holidays. All you want is winners. So what I'm going to suggest you do, just go ahead and take the opposite of everything I pick once again. This week, I've been getting a lot of DMs, a lot of tweets at me, telling me how much money I've lost people this season. I'm right there with you. I place these bets too. I've lost a ton of money this NFL season. There's nothing else I can do. I'm open with my record. I'm open with the fact that I'm not a professional sports bettor. This has been a nightmare of a season, and these happen, especially when you bet on every single game, especially when you place every single bet on Monday night. There's only so much I can do. With that being said, the Falcons have their franchise quarterback. Michael Penix looked fantastic for the Falcons. That is a bright spot for now. My bets might be going bad. Fantasy football, bright spot. I'm in the finals in 2 of my leagues. Also, another bright spot is the Falcons for now. At least this week. I'm trying to soak up this week because the Falcons are right now leading the NFC South. And they might, whether or not they make the playoffs or not, might have their next franchise quarterback. I'll tell you one thing that I took away from the Michael Penix start for the Falcons against the Giants. They didn't ask him to do much. Also, I'm not going to judge him for the interception. Kyle Pitts basically just volleyed the ball right into the hands of a defender. But what I saw from him the most was his poise in the pocket. You see a lot of bad quarterbacks and a lot of young quarterbacks. I don't want to say they panic in the pocket, but they almost seem twitchy. It's almost as if they don't trust the play, don't trust the reads that they need to make. It's like they look at their first read and then their eyes are all of a sudden either looking for an opening to run or looking to try to scramble. I've actually think that's been Caleb Williams' biggest fault this season is he doesn't just trust the play, he doesn't trust his progression. It's almost like he looks at his first read and if it's not there, he's either tries to scramble or tries to just run with it, and he's not trusting the play, trusting his progression, just going from feet set first read, feet set second read, feet set either third read or take off. And that is what I saw with Michael Penix in his first start. He stood in the pocket. He would look strong in the pocket. He looked calm. He looked patient. And those are things that are very difficult to teach, in my opinion. Also, I didn't watch him in college. I've read some people say that he had issues in college throwing the football over the middle. He certainly did not have that issue on Sunday against the Giants. Made some beautiful throws over the middle. So, optimistic about Michael Penix. Now, can he now go from playing the Giants where they were, the benefactors of scoring 2 defensive touchdowns to now going Sunday Night Football against an elite offense, the Washington Commanders, on the road, prime time with the playoff spot virtually on the line? That's a whole different ask. But I'm at the very least enjoying looking at the standings right now, seeing the Falcons are in first place in the NFC South. And on Sunday afternoon, that will be a massive Carolina Panthers fan. Because if the Panthers can beat the Bucs, I'm gonna enjoy Sunday Night Football, because then we win, we actually clinch the NFC South. We lose, all we got to do is beat the Panthers in Week 18, and we're in. Or if the Bucs can lose again to the Saints, then we're gonna get in no matter what. So I'll be a massive Panthers fan on Saturday. The wild card is now out of the picture, pretty much, with the Commanders beating the Eagles. The Commanders could, in theory, I guess, yeah, they'd have to lose to the Falcons, but if the Falcons win on Sunday night anyways, then they're kind of in the mix for the division. So the wild card's no longer in the picture for the Falcons. It's division or bust, which would be nice. If we win winning the division and being the 4 seed's a lot better than getting in as a wild card as the 7 seed, having to hit the road to go play, the Eagles, it's looking like. Instead, we can host the Commanders, host the Packers. I mean, it might just be a rematch, 2 weeks later. It might be Commanders-Falcons again. We'll see. I'm just trying to be optimistic right now, and the only thing I can be optimistic right now because of my bets are the Falcons. So that's what I'm going to use the intro to talk about. Also, this delicious Christmas cocktail. 2 parts vodka, 1 part peppermint schnapps, 1 part white chocolate liqueur. It's called a Winter Wonderland. Put some red sugar on the rim, have it by the Christmas tree. Toss on a Muppet Family Christmas, which don't think I've ever said on this podcast. Last thing I'll say before we get into the picks. The most underrated Christmas movie of all time. It is available on YouTube. It's 40 minutes long. It is the Muppet Family Christmas. Every single Christmas, I make a case for this. I don't hear anyone else talk about this movie. It's my favorite Christmas movie. It is an all-time classic. It's 40 minutes. It's the perfect length. Now, when you think of Muppets Christmas, you're thinking Muppets Christmas Carol. It is not Muppets Christmas Carol. This is Muppets Family Christmas. It is the most ambitious crossover in TV history. It is the Muppets. It is the Sesame Street Gang. It is Fraggle Rock, which I think is Canadians. I think only Canadians know about Fraggle Rock, but Fraggle Rock makes an appearance. There is a song where Big Bird sings a duet with the Swedish Chef. That should be enough to sell you on Muppet Family Christmas. So I encourage you all. It's free on YouTube. Muppet Family Christmas, 40 minutes. If you're watching or listening to this before Christmas Day, toss that on, and you won't regret it. If you do, send me a tweet. Let me know that you watched it. Let me know your review. I promise you it's worth the 40 minutes as a Christmas movie. All right, that's all I got for you. Let's get into it. It is the official Christmas episode. Oh, hold on. Here's my season-to-date record. I do got to say. 113, 122, and 5 for minus 17.21 units. It's been a disaster 6 weeks now. It is what it is. I would have to think, I think the last 32 games, I think I'd have to go 26 and 6. The last 2 weeks might be enough for me to get back in the profit. It's not going to happen. Let's at least try to post 2 profitable weeks and cut down our losses a little bit. It is the NFL Week 17 edition of the Road to 272 of the Bacon Bets podcast. The Road to 272 does, in fact, unfortunately, march on for another 2 weeks.
I'm not a state. I'm a monster.
No, Lisa. The only monster here is the gambling monster that has enslaved your mother. I call him Gamblor, and it's time to snatch your mother from his neon claws.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the Christmas Day afternoon game. It is the Chiefs against the Steelers. This line opened at 2.5. It moved to 3, which was a little bit surprising for me, so I will jump on that. I got the Steelers +3. Minus 110 at Caesars at home to the Chiefs. Now, we have learned our lesson about the Chiefs. It was nice to be on the right side of a Chiefs game last week, but we have learned the lesson. Do not take money line as tempted as you are. If you're getting 3 points against the Chiefs, generally, that has been a pretty good bet this week. Not only that, but the Chiefs, I think, enter this game with a little bit of bad injury luck in terms of the injury report. I would say the Steelers are on the more favorable side of it because it looks like they're getting George Pickens back, and the Steelers offense is night and day with and without George Pickens, so that's huge for the Steelers, especially going up against a Chiefs secondary that has struggled at times this season. And then the Chiefs have some injury issues of their own. Chris Jones doesn't look like he's going to go. He's obviously a big hit if he can't go for the Chiefs defense. Jawan Taylor, Jack Cochran, I believe they have some offensive line issues. They have a pretty banged up injury report right now, whereas the Steelers actually took a step in the right direction in terms of getting healthy. Other than that, you don't need me to rant about the Chiefs again. Their numbers still remain not nearly as good as their record. They actually, to be honest, their game against the Texans, I think, was the best they've looked all season. Net yards per play, if you want to look at that. Chiefs currently sitting 18th in the NFL in net yards per play. That is one spot below the Indianapolis Colts. To be fair, though, Steelers are actually worse in net yards per play, but they've always been bad at net yards per play. That's just Mike Tomlin's type of team. They're home. They're getting a field goal. I will take the Steelers in that spot, and I will root against the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. The second game on Christmas Day, the second half of the doubleheader, Ravens-Texans. I'm going to go under 46.5 between the Ravens and Texans. This was at 47.5 on Sunday night. This is one of my issues I have with the road to 272, but I don't know what other way to do it. I have to be fair for you guys, I can't place that bet and then it be a stale line by the time we record the podcast. I knew the number was going to come down. I knew that total was too high, and it's come down a point down to 46.5. So I have no other choice. I will take Ravens-Texans under 46.5 at minus 105. Both offenses banged up this week. Texans obviously lost Tank Dell for the season in a disgusting injury. His knee blew up. John Mechie, questionable. So now they might just have Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Xavier Hutchinson at wide receiver. Not good news for an offense that has already struggled this season. An offense that is currently dead last in the NFL in success rate. Not good news for the Houston Texans offense. Ravens offense also a sneaky important injury to the Ravens offense. I'll see if there's been any updates on it, but Zay Flowers was dealing with an injury last I looked. Zay Flowers sidelined as Ravens prepare for Texans. I don't think we have an official injury designation for Zay Flowers right now. We might find out on Tuesday. It says he would have missed practice on Sunday with a shoulder injury. So if Zay Flowers can't go, that actually hurts their pass attack quite a bit. So banged up receivers for both teams. And then on top of those offensive injuries, these two defenses have actually been two of the best in the NFL lately. Since week 11, the Ravens rank 4th in the NFL in opponent EPA per play, 1st in opponent success rate. The Titans are 5th in opponent EPA per play and 4th in opponent success rate in that same time frame. So both in EPA and success rate, these two have been top 5 defenses in the NFL since week 11. Texans, very good third down defense, one of the best third down defenses in the NFL, which is huge for an under. Their offense stinks. Two defenses trending in the right direction. I still think, even at 46.5, this total is a touch too high. I don't like it as much as I did at 47, but I will still take the under 46.5 between the Ravens and Texans on Christmas. Moving on to Thursday, kind of like everyone's talking about Christmas Day games, a Saturday triple header. People are kind of forgetting that this is the last Thursday night football game of the 2024 NFL season. It's not a good one. It's one that, if you looked at a preseason, it had some potential. Not really much anymore. It is pretty much a near must-win for the Seattle Seahawks if they want any chance of winning the NFC West. And, of course, it means nothing for the Chicago Bears. I will be taking the Seattle Seahawks minus 3.5 at minus 110. Not going to overthink this. I took the Bears last week. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. The Bears' defense, since firing Matt Eberflus, has been horrific. Actually, if you go back a little bit before that, if you go back to Week 11, this Bears team since then ranks 30th in the NFL in both opponent EPA per play and opponent success rate. Let me actually really quickly look. They fired Matt Eberflus after Thanksgiving, which was Week 13. So let's see where this defense ranks in the NFL from Week 14. So we're including the last 3 weeks, 14, 15, 16. Dead last in opponent EPA per play, 31st in opponent success rate. So there you go. Matt Eberflus may not have been the issue, or he was an issue in some aspects. It seems like he helped their defense, because their defense, and it was their secondary that was so good with Matt Eberflus. Their secondary is now 32nd in opponent dropback success rate, 30th. Dead last in opponent drop back success rate, 31st in opponent drop back EPA since firing Matt Eberflus. Not good. So now you used to be able to lean on their defense, or at least cite their defense as a reason why you bet on the Bears as underdogs. Now that they don't have that defense, what are you banking on with the Bears? You banking on Caleb Williams can drag this team to a cover against the Seahawks? I'm not buying it. I will lay the points. Seahawks -3.5. Another one, the line was better on Sunday night. It was -3. So if the Seahawks win by field goal, that'd be this kind of season, wouldn't it? Seahawks -3.5 against the Bears. Then we're moving on to Sunday's game. Sunday's triple header. Actually, let me quickly take a little sip of my Winter Wonderland here. Ooh. You guys don't even know about Christmas cocktails. Ooh, I got a little red sugar in my... How's this beard coming along? Listen, this beard was rough the first 3 weeks. I think I'm a beard guy now. I think it's filled in. It's still a little questionable on the cheeks. But overall, it's not bad. I think I'm a beard guy. I think I look older with a beard, which is nice because baby face at 31 years old is tough. I turned 32 on Friday, so that's fun. We're getting old. Saturday's game, starting off with the Chargers against the Patriots. I will take the Chargers -4 against New England. Chargers have had some hiccups in recent weeks. They failed to cover. They lost to the Chiefs. They got smoked by the Buccaneers. But let's remember they have kind of faced a gauntlet of opponents the last few weeks. I mean, even last week, I think, who the Chargers just beat? Or the Broncos. I bet on the Broncos, and one of the reasons why was because I felt like the Chargers were regressing a little bit. To be fair, what I should have done is looked at their recent opponents. Because, yeah, their numbers have not looked good, but their last 6 games have been against the Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Buccaneers, and Broncos. 6 very good teams. Those are still 6 teams. 6 teams who are still alive in the playoff race. Probably only one of the Falcons make the playoffs. The Bengals probably won't. But 6 teams that are all either in the playoffs or still alive in the playoff race. This is the first time they'll get to play against a bad team since they faced the Titans 7 weeks ago. So let's just keep that in mind, especially when you're looking at recent sample size of statistics. But there is one stat that stands out to me the most about this game that I think is going to be key in the Chargers covering this number. It is the Patriots red zone offense against the Chargers red zone defense. The Patriots red zone offense is the second worst in the NFL. They score a touchdown on just 47.73% of red zone trips. The Chargers have the best red zone defense, allowing a touchdown on just 44.74% of opponent red zone trips. So second worst red zone offense against number 1 red zone defense. Being able to keep pace and cover the spread for the Patriots, the most key part of that is being able to score touchdowns instead of field goals on their drives. And based on those numbers, that's going to be difficult for them to do. Patriots also 26th in third down offense. Chargers are 10th in third down defense. So kind of in those key areas of either converting drives to 6 points or just keeping drives alive, this is going to be a mismatch for the Patriots offense going up against the Chargers defense. And then I think the Chargers offense, despite still not having the best weapons in the NFL, I think we'll be able to do enough to get the job done. I will lay the 4 points with the LA Chargers against the New England Patriots. The middle game, the peanut butter in a peanut butter sandwich game on Saturday. The Broncos and the Bengals, a very intriguing game. Obviously, with if the Bengals winning, they're still alive. And the Colts and the Dolphins would still be alive in the AFC playoff race. So those teams are going to be interested to know what the result of this game is. I'm going to do something that has been kind of blasphemous this season, and that's bet on an under in a game involving the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think this is the right time to do it, especially with the total all the way up at 50. I will take the under 50 between the Bengals and the Broncos. The Bengals have a very tough matchup ahead of them. Obviously, the Broncos defense has been one of the best in the NFL, despite a bit of a hiccup last week against the Chargers, despite a bad performance against the Browns. They still rank first in the NFL, specifically their secondary ranks first in the NFL in opponent dropback EPA, third in opponent dropback success rate. They also allow the third fewest yards per pass attempt to 6.1. So if any team in the NFL is going to slow down Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, and not stop them, notice I said at least slow them down, it would be the Broncos defense. On the flip side of things, I don't really trust the Broncos offense on the road. I know the Bengals defense has been one of the worst in the NFL, but the Broncos offensive splits on the road compared to at home have been significantly different. For example, their yards per play fall from 5.4 to 4.8. Their points per game decreases 6.5 points from 27.5 down to 21.5. And their red zone touchdown rate falls from 70.83% at home to 52% on the road, scoring a touchdown on only 52% of the red zone trips on the road. So if the Broncos offense doesn't get going, if the Bengals offense gets slowed down, I think we have a pretty good bet here on the under 50 in the Saturday late afternoon game between the Broncos and the Bengals. Saturday night, the Rams against the Cardinals. I have correctly predicted that Kyler Murray was going to regress in December, and I feel like I haven't been able to cash on it. Let me look at Cardinals' recent games here, because I think I've been betting the under, and it hasn't been hitting. Last week, I bet the under against the Panthers, and a lot of turnovers in their own end and special teams plays led to that being a huge over. What did I take in that Patriots game the week before? Did I take the Patriots to cover? I might have taken the Patriots to cover. They weren't able to. I took the under in the Seahawks Cardinals. That didn't hit. And then I took the Cardinals money line on December 1st against the Vikings, and they lost by a point. So I have correctly called that Kyler Murray was going to regress, and I don't think I've won a single bet. I'm just not going to overthink it. I will now just take the Rams minus 5.5 here in this one. To continue that same narrative, Kyler Murray has proven something goes on with him in December. I think it's related to his lack of film watching, which you can overcome in the early parts of the year when you don't have film from this year's version of each team. As the season goes on and as defenses get more film and as offenses get more film on defense, you got to watch film, and I don't think Kyler Murray does based on the stipulation that was in his contract. And also, the Cardinals are at their best when they're running the ball well, and James Conner is questionable. He might still suit up, but if he's done, if he can't suit up, Trey Benson's also out for this game. That would leave them with their third-string running back, Michael Carter, and I don't think Michael Carter is going to be able to carry this Cardinals team to a win, especially considering the Cardinals are now eliminated from the playoffs. They have nothing to play for. I will take the Rams minus 5.5, minus 115 on Saturday night. Moving on to Saturday's games. Cowboys, Eagles. I find that we are now in a similar spot to we were with the Chiefs, Texans last week in terms of quarterback injuries. This is another downside of having to make all my picks on Monday night. If I was not doing the road to 272, and what you should probably be doing as a bettor is wait until we find out the injury status for Jalen Hurts and then bet based off that and try what a pro bettor is doing. I'm telling you right now, is they have notifications on for every single insider possible tied to the Philadelphia Eagles. And the moment that they get a text or notification about Jalen Hurts' injury status, they will be rushing to take advantage of it before the lines move. And sometimes you have about 10 seconds, honestly. It's that quick. If it's not 10 seconds, it might be a minute at most. That's what pro bettors do. I am obviously not a pro bettor, and obviously I can't do that if I have to place all my bets on Monday night. So what I'm going to do is I think, and this is the same way I treated the Chiefs game last week, I think the Eagles minus 9.5 number is assuming Jalen Hurts plays. It's actually the opposite of last week, where the Chiefs number was assuming Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. So there's no real value on me laying 9.5 with the Eagles, because then if he doesn't play, I'm screwed. Then I will have a minus 9.5 with either Kenny Pickett or their third string guy in, who's like McKee, I think, AJ McKee. Because Kenny Pickett was getting x-rays done for his ribs today. So they might be down to their third string quarterback. There is a world where they have to start their third string. I forget his name. Let me look it up here again. It is Tanner McKee. Who's AJ McKee? I came up with AJ McKee for some reason. AJ McKee is a UFC fighter. It's when you store thousands of athletes' names in your head, sometimes you bring the wrong up one. I didn't even know AJ McKee was a UFC fighter. I knew he was in my archive of athlete names. Tanner McKee. The Eagles might, in theory, be starting Tanner McKee because of Jalen Hurts in concussion protocol, Kenny Pickett with a rib injury. If neither of those guys can go, or even if it's Kenny Pickett and we have a Cowboys plus 9.5 ticket, we're going to be laughing because that number is going to fall way down. Way down. I mean, if Tanner McKee starts, the Cowboys, this might be like a pick 'em. At the very least, it'll be below a field goal. Other than that, I mean, I don't really have any other reason to bet the Cowboys. The Cowboys continue to find ways to win games and like beat teams, but still their metrics, even with Cooper Rush, aren't good. So I'm a little confused because they're like, 4-1 in his last 5 starts, but even like then, and even if you adjust for the past 5 weeks, their EPA numbers aren't good. Their success rate numbers aren't good. I know the Buccaneers in terms of success rate dwarfed the Cowboys on Monday night. Cowboys still found a way to win. I will say this about the Cowboys. They're fighting. Their defense is playing with some passion. That might, say something for Mike McCarthy. Who knows? Now, if Jalen Hurts does play, this line will probably stay at plus 9.5. It might move to 10.5. Then we just got to hope for some more Cowboys magic. But I cannot, with both quarterbacks questionable to play, I cannot in good faith lay Eagles 9.5. I would recommend you either jump on this train with me and go Cowboys if you do really want to bet it early in the week, or you wait to get out. You wait to get the get news about what's going to happen with their quarterbacks. That's all I got for this one. I'm on Cowboys plus 9.5. We'll see how it goes. Jets and the Bills. I will take the Bills minus 9.5 against the Jets. We're going to keep this one pretty straightforward. Previous weeks' iterations of Iain this season would probably take the Jets. But largely this season, more than any other season, it's benefited to just not overthink it and just take the better team. Who cares how big the spread is? Take the better team. If they're going to win, they're probably going to cover. I think that's because there's not nearly as much parity in the NFL this season as there has been in previous years. They're setting the lines as if there is parity, but there isn't. There's really bad coaches this season. There's really bad quarterbacks this season, but there are also really good quarterbacks and really good coaches. This game between the Bills and the Jets is a matchup between the team that ranks number 1 in EPA per play offensively and the team that ranks dead last in opponent EPA per play defensively since week 10. So in terms of EPA, over the past 7 weeks, it is the number 1 team against the 32nd team. The Bills are at home. They should be able to do what they want against the Jets defense. I don't really think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense is going to be able to do much against the Bills defense. I'm not overthinking this one. Previous Iain would overthink it. I'm just going to take the better team. I will say I'm a little concerned if the Chiefs win on Saturday and the Ravens lose on Saturday, Buffalo will be locked into the number 2 seed. Because if the Chiefs win, they can't get the number 2 seed. If the Ravens lose to the Texans, the Ravens aren't able to catch the Bills, and the Steelers, obviously, if the Chiefs win, that means the Steelers lose, also won't be able to catch the Bills. So the Bills will be locked into the number 2 seed in that situation. If that happens, the Bills, number 1, may rest some guys in the second half, and number 2 will probably play with a pretty limited playbook to not show anything that they don't want to show. If that happens, I'd be concerned about them covering the number. Let's hope either the Chiefs or the Ravens win. Either the Steelers or the Ravens win, preferably the Steelers, because that's the side we're betting on. Hopefully they win on Saturday. All right, we're taking a quick break, and then I'll break down the second half of games for Week 17. All right, let's keep things moving. We are moving on to the Raiders and Saints game, and I don't think we have any other choice on Monday night other than to take the Raiders +1, because the Saints showed us on Monday night. That game just finished 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago. The Saints have nothing. If they don't get, and now maybe they're going to get some players. I know the commentators tonight were saying that Derek Carr is going to try to come back before the end of the season. So maybe if he comes back, then take the Saints. But I mean, I had no issue laying the points to the Packers on Monday night because the Saints were missing Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Derek Carr, Also, Marquez Valdez-Scantling was out. So, like, if you listed their 6 best offensive players, it's probably those 6 guys. Like, what else are you going to do? Spencer Rattler was trash. He's statistically been the worst quarterback in the NFL this season. I think Drew Lock's the only one who's been worse. Their defense isn't good enough to carry them. Like, why would you not take the Raiders getting a point? I mean, the Raiders also aren't a good team, but Aiden O'Connell's been serviceable at times. They have Brock Bowers. They have Jacoby Meyers. They have some guys at least. The Saints have nobody. So unless the Saints are going to get those guys back this week, I don't know how they're favored against anyone. Side note for one of my fantasy leagues, all I had left was Packers defense, and I needed at least 25 points by them on Monday night. And because they got a shutout, few sacks, fumble recovery, interception, they finished with 29 points, and I'm advancing to the finals. Listen, my bets have been trash this year. This has been the best fantasy football season of all time for me. So this is bizarro world football for me. Regardless, I just don't know how you can bet on the Saints. Unless we find out later in the week that they're getting some of those guys back, then maybe you could think about betting on the Saints at home. But I certainly will not be doing that. I will take the point with the Raiders in New Orleans in a game I truly could not give less of a shit about. I hope the Saints lose again. It's a real shame the only team who gets shut out this season has been the Aints. Shame. Sucks. Feel for them. Giants Colts, or Colts Giants, I should say. I believe this is in the Meadowlands. It is in the Meadowlands. I've been very anti-Anthony Richardson this season. I'm shocked they continue to win games almost solely because of their running game. Is it Shane Steichen? Is that the coach for the Colts? It is Shane Steichen, right? Yeah, he might be underrated as he's not in the mix for Coach of the Year, but having an Anthony Richardson-led team to now having a shot at the playoffs, a guy who's completing like 46% of passes, is amazing. Shout out Shane Steichen, truly. He might be the best coach in the NFL. So I would want to take the points with the Giants because Anthony Richardson, but one of the only quarterbacks that's worse than Anthony Richardson is Drew Lock. Actually, if you look at EPA plus CPOE composite, which is, my favorite stat for evaluating quarterbacks this season, Anthony Richardson is third last. The next two are Spencer Rattler and Drew Lock are the only two quarterbacks who are worse in EPA plus CPOE composite. So it's not confirmed if Drew Lock's playing. I think he's actually getting an MRI on his shoulder, so it might be Tommy DeVito, but he's just as bad. But then still, it's like, even if the other team has a worse quarterback, I still don't necessarily want to lay 8 points on an Anthony Richardson-led Colts team, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the under. I will fade both quarterbacks. I will fade both offenses, and I will take the under. These offenses are ranked 29th and 32nd in EPA per play. The Colts have been able to run the ball, but that's not enough for me to want to lay the points on them. That's also not enough for me to think this game is going to go over. I will take the under 40.5 between the Giants and the Colts. Panthers and Buccaneers. I know the Panthers took them into overtime a couple weeks ago. I know the Panthers have been hot lately. But the stylistic matchup for this game with the Buccaneers at home, I gotta lay the 8 points on the Bucs. Now, I would be just tickled pink if the Panthers can pull off the upset here, but I can't see it. I know, like I said, the Panthers have been hot. They're winning some games. They're getting close in most of them, except for against the Cowboys the other week. But this game is all about the run game. The Panthers' recent success lately has largely been due to the run game. In fact, over their last 3 games, 45.32% of their offensive yards gained have come on the ground. And now they take on a Buccaneers defense that has allowed just 2.8 yards per carry over the last 3 games. They are now second in the NFL in opponent rush EPA, in both opponent rush EPA and opponent rush success rate since week 10. Sorry, scratch that. Let me fix that. They're ranked second in opponent rush EPA and third in opponent rush success rate. Now, on the flip side of things, the Bucs have also done very well running the football, but now they get to take on a Panthers defense that in the same time frame is dead last in both opponent rush EPA and opponent rush success rate. What I'm trying to say, simply put, these are two teams who rely on running the football and who have both been doing a very good job of running the football lately, but they're opposites in terms of stopping the run. Bucs, very good at stopping the run. Panthers, arguably the worst at stopping the run. So I will lay the points with the Buccaneers at -8. And what is a must-win game for them, for the most part. They basically, to have any chance, they got to win the last 2 weeks. So I will take the Buccaneers -8, -108. Titans and Jaguars. Titans, again. Listen, at the end of the season, I'm going to debrief about this season, and I'm going to talk about how I should have recognized the lack of parity in the NFL this season and the betting market not adjusting to that. The betting market's still pricing teams like as if there is parity. I'm going to talk about how I still got CLV, but, things didn't work out for me. I'm going to talk about how I could not hit an underdog money line pick all season. I'm going to have a lot of reasons and a lot of things that I've learned from the NFL. I'm going to talk about how, maybe I didn't look at things like third down offense and defense and red zone offense and defense as much as I had in past years. Maybe I got a little bit too caught up in advanced analytics this year. Maybe I got too caught up and always want to be a contrarian this season. But really, all that matters, and the reason why I'm having a terrible season, is because every single week I continue to bet on the Titans, the 49ers, and the Dolphins. And even when the 49ers and Dolphins play against each other, I still take the losing side. The Titans have covered the spread twice this season, and I'm pretty sure I've bet on them almost every single game. I think I took the under in a couple of their games, but I've lost probably 9 bets on the Titans this season, if not more. 10 bets on the Titans this season. I've certainly lost around that number on the 49ers. I've certainly lost pretty close to that number on the Dolphins. If I would have just learned my lesson betting on these teams, I probably could have been profitable. I've had a lot of success in previous years buying low on teams, selling high on other teams, kind of treating betting on the NFL like the stock market. Has not worked this year. The bad teams get worse. The teams who aren't covering the spread continue to not cover the spread. The good teams continue to be good, and the teams that cover the spread continue to cover the spread. And the Titans are the perfect example of that. With all that being said, I got 2 weeks left in the season. It's going to be a losing season for me anyways. If I get off the Titans now and they win or cover, I would not be able to forgive myself. So for peace of mind, I'll take the Titans again. They will lose again. You don't need to hear me handicap the Titans again. I've said the same thing now for 16 weeks. Their underlying metrics and numbers are better than their record. They can't shoot themselves in the foot 5 times a game again, can they? For the 17th week in a row. They're not going to throw another pick 6, are they? No. Probably. I'll take the Titans -102. Dolphins and Browns, speaking of teams that I will continue to bet on except for when I actually need them to, like last week, I'll take the Dolphins. Fading bad quarterbacks. That's the new strategy the next 2 weeks. I say that right after Mac Jones against Mason Rudolph, neither are good. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not an NFL quarterback. Amongst 46 quarterbacks in the NFL this season who have played at least 75 snaps, there have been 46 quarterbacks who have played at least 75 snaps. Dorian Thompson-Robinson ranks dead last in adjusted EPA per play. I think now the Dolphins are tanking because I don't think you start Dorian Thompson-Robinson if you want any chance of winning a game. Jameis Winston would shoot your team in the foot by throwing a lot of picks, but at least the ceiling of Jameis Winston was good. At least he gave you a chance in these games. Dorian Thompson-Robinson stinks. He stinks so loud. Yeah, there's nothing else. The Dolphins still have something to play for. The Browns are... Actually, the Dolphins may not. If the Chargers and Broncos win by this point, because they both play on Saturday, the Dolphins won't have anything to play for. But if one of those teams lose, the Dolphins still have something to play for. I don't know. If the spread's under a touchdown, I'm not going to take the points with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I learned that lesson last week. Dolphins -6.5. Packers and Vikings. I will take the Packers +102. I think the Packers I know the record won't be, they don't have any chance to win the NFC North. They obviously won't be the number 1 seed. The Packers are, I think, now just as good as the Lions and Eagles. I think they're right up there. I don't think the Vikings are there. And I know Vikings fans are going to not want to hear me say that, The record is the record. The record's very good. I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm not going to say the Vikings are bad. I'm not going to say they're frauds. I'm not going to say they're bad. They're still a very good team. Their metrics don't quite line up with those of the Lions, the Eagles, and now the Packers. Packers now rank second in the NFL in net yards per play. The Vikings, while continuing to win, now rank 11th in net yards per play for the season, 21st in net yards per play over their last 3 games. The underlying metrics, even though both teams continue to win games, show the Packers actually are trending in the right direction. The Vikings, once again, winning is the only thing that matters, but their underlying metrics have gotten worse. They just have. Also, I really do think, and it's something that I'm starting to learn, a sign of a good coach is when you play well late in the season. Sean McVay has done very well in the latter half of NFL seasons. He's doing it again this year. Matt LaFleur now has a 20-3 record in the month of December. And I think it's because as you get more film, you can lock in those game plans a little bit better than you can early in the year. And I think moving forward, it's going to be something that I'm going to take a look at with the Packers, the Rams. I'm going to find some other coaches that have good records late in the season. Where Mike Tomlin's kind of the opposite. I'd have to look at his record before I can say that for sure. But Mike Tomlin kind of seems like he's like a first half of the season, and then either the betting market adjusts or he can't quite do the same. But I feel like the Steelers kind of fall off historically compared to how they look in the start of the season. That's a working take. I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But my point is, Matt LaFleur, very good in December. The Packers have been trending in the right direction by every metric imaginable. With the Vikings being a 1.5, 2-point favorite at home, that basically means sportsbooks think this is a coin flip game if it was on neutral site. I'll take the Packers at plus money. Packers plus 102. Sunday Night Football. Did I miss a game here? No, I didn't. Sunday Night Football. It is the Commanders and the Falcons. I already talked to you about my feelings about the Falcons last week. This line was actually at 5. It's come down a point, so it seems like some sharps have been on the Falcons. It's now at 4, and I will not hesitate to take the Commanders. I will say one team that has not let me down this season from a betting standpoint is the Falcons. I have done a very good job betting on Falcons games for the most part this season. If you remember a few weeks ago against the Vikings, I took the Vikings. It was my best bet of the week. I also recommended some alt lines on the Vikings. Those alt lines all hit. I'm saying the same thing this week. As much, and I know you guys are going to think I'm reverse jinxing this, and, maybe I am a little bit. But that cocktail's not as good when it's warm. Ooh, that's boozy. This is a terrible matchup for the Falcons. I think the Commanders cover the number. I think they cover alt spread. I think they win by double digits. I think they might win by 20 plus. Take that for what it's worth. The Falcons have historically always struggled against scrambling quarterbacks. This year is not going to be any different. They play a defensive line that has improved, a pass rusher that has improved quite a bit the past few weeks, but still not effective enough to really get after Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is going to buy time. He's going to be able to scramble out of the pocket. He's going to be able to run for yards. He's going to be able to do whatever he wants against this Falcons defense. So there we go. Commanders' offense is elite. We know they're going to score points against the Falcons defense. So then the question is whether or not Michael Penix can lead the Falcons offense, turn this into a shootout, and hopefully get the ball at the end of the game with a chance to win. Do you trust that happening? A guy who I still believe and I think is going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL, but we're talking about a quarterback making his second ever start in prime time on the road against a playoff Commanders team with your own team's playoff hopes on the line. That is a lot to ask for a rookie quarterback. I know that's not measurable. That's not a stat. But that is a very real thing. You can't say that's not at least a thing. Not to mention Drake London has a bum hamstring right now. I don't have faith in the Falcons offense to get the job done. I think the moment's a little too big for a rookie quarterback making his second ever start. The Commanders are very good offensively. I know I kind of bet them to regress a little bit. I know they had, they really probably should have lost against the Eagles based on all the turnovers, but still, at the end of the day, Jaden Daniels threw for 5 touchdowns against the Eagles secondary. he's going to throw for 800 yards and rush for another 200 against this Falcons defense. And I don't think the Falcons might have to score in every drive to keep up in this game, and I don't think they can. Commanders win by 1 million. And then I will hope that either the Panthers beat the Buccaneers early in the afternoon, or somehow Derek Carr comes back for the Saints and beats the Buccaneers in Week 18. So Commanders -4. Monday Night Football last week, I bet the Browns plus the points against the Lions because of all the injuries the Lions suffered on defense. I guess I didn't really consider the fact that the Lions might just score every time they touch the ball again, because that's what happened. And even though Caleb Williams was able to throw for like 350 yards, it wasn't enough because the Lions just scored at will. So instead of doing that, I'm going to bet on the Lions offense, but also bet against the 49ers defense. So I will take the over. It is a very high total. It is 51. But I don't care. Give me something to cheer for on Monday Night Football. I feel like I've not bet a lot of overs this season. I'll take Lions 49ers over 51. I do think the defensive injuries are going to catch up to the Lions. I mean, yeah, they beat the Bears with ease last week, but Caleb Williams threw for 350 yards. If Caleb Williams threw for 350 yards, Brock Purdy can throw for 350 yards. I know Brock Purdy is down some weapons. I know he hasn't had as good of a year, but he's still playing for a contract. The 49ers are out of the playoffs, but Brock Purdy is playing to prove his worth heading into his contract offseason. Meanwhile, the Lions offense is probably just going to be able to do whatever they want. Jahmyr Gibbs is a beast. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a beast. The Lions can beat you on the outside. They can beat you on the inside. They can beat you with a run game. David Montgomery proved being hurt didn't really hurt them that much. The more effective running back now gets more carries. So, yeah. High total, but I'll wrap up the week with an over 51 bet between the Lions and the 49ers. All right, let's go ahead and recap them. I'll give you my 5 best bets and then my teaser of the week. So we got, by the way, if I don't say the juice, that means it's -110. If the juice is other than -110, -110, I'll say what it is. Steelers +3 against the Chiefs. Ravens, Texans under 46.5, -105. Seahawks -3.5 against the Bears. Chargers -4 against the Patriots. Broncos, Bengals under 50. Rams -5.5, -115 against the Cardinals. Cowboys +9.5, -105 against the Eagles. Bills -9.5, -115 against the Jets. Raiders +1 against the Saints. Colts, Giants under 40.5. Buccaneers -8, -108 against the Panthers. Tennessee -102 in the money line against the Jaguars. Dolphins -6.5 against the Browns. Packers +102 against the Vikings. Commanders -4 against the Falcons. And the Lions 49ers over 51. My best bets had generally been doing good even on this cold stretch. Not good last week. 1-4 with my best bets. I hit the Ravens to start off the week, and then lost Eagles because of the last second drop by Devontae Smith and the last second drive by the Commanders. Lost the Bears, lost the Titans, lost the Bucks. Teaser did hit though. We got Falcons -2 against the Giants, Ravens pick 'em against Steelers. Teaser was the easiest bet of the week. This week, my 5 best bets are Ravens, Texans under 46.5, Seahawks -3.5 to the Bears, Chargers -4 to the Patriots, Dolphins -6.5 to the Browns, and Commanders -4 to the Falcons. Teaser of the week. We're going to take the Dolphins down from -6.5 to 0.5 against the Browns. That crosses the secondary key number of 6 and the primary key number of 3. We're also going to take the Bucks down from -8 down to -2 against the Panthers. That crosses both the key numbers of 7 and 3. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to the Bacon Bets podcast on YouTube. That can be your Christmas gift to me. The player prop countdown actually did have a winning week. I didn't mention that, the player prop countdown, which I'm not going to do the audio version again this week because it'd be Christmas night, and I'm not going to spend my Christmas night doing that. I will have a written version out Thursday morning. The player prop countdown will not include the Christmas Day games. But last week, we actually did have a winning week with the player prop countdown, 6-4 last week. So let's see if we can carry that momentum into this week. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. I will be back for the final week of the Road to 272 next Monday. Gamble or bless. I'll talk to you all then.